Hi everyone, Flaming Footy here and welcome back to a new YouTube video on the channel. And today guys, we are here to continue our AFL 2023 round previews, and in today's video we're going to be previewing every game of round 12 of the 2023 AFL season. Only got 7 games this round due to the bye rounds, but as we always do, we start off with a little review of the last round, round 11. Sydney defeated Carlton by 26, Hawthorn defeated St Kilda by 10, Fremantle defeated Melbourne by 7, GWS defeated Geelong by 7 as well, Gold Coast defeated the Western Bulldogs by 7 as well, in a round which has seen plenty of upsets so far. Then Essendon got over West Coast by 50, quite an expected one there. Port Adelaide over the Tigers by 10, Collingwood defeated North by 35, and then another upset to finish off the round, Adelaide defeated Brisbane by 17. The latter, we'll just have a quick little whiz through this at the moment. I'll come back to this later on in the video. Round 12 preview, Friday night, Melbourne Carlton at the MCG, and probably from what we saw at the start of the year, this looked to be a real blockbuster game, a real big game the Friday night, but I don't think it'll be that anymore. I think this is quite an easy game to tip. Margin, could be a little bit unsure on that, but I think most of us do have quite a clear way in mind. It's 4th versus 13th on the ladder, Melbourne in 4th, Carlton in 13th, and look, Melbourne, little sleeper, they've played Port Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval, and Fremantle last week. They've played some pretty good sides, because we must admit Fremantle are in some good form at the moment. They are a force to be reckoned with. They're coming charging back at the moment, Freo. And Carlton, they're going through a really rough patch. Last week versus Sydney was a game they really had to win, and were out of it for most of it, really. They just didn't look that great at all, and another inaccurate week, and I don't even think accuracy can help them at this stage, though. I feel like even if they were to kick a bit straighter, I still don't think it really changes anything. There's still problems for them. So that's why I think the D's win this game by 42 points quite comfortably. First game on Saturday, Port Adelaide versus Hawthorn at the Adelaide Oval in the Saturday afternoon game. Port Adelaide, their last 8 weeks have been enormous. They've won 8 on the trot, and if they win this, which they probably should, it'll go to 9, breaking a club record. The club record is 8, so they currently equal that, and should they win, it goes to 9. Hawthorn, the belief is high. 2 wins in a row for them. If they win this, it's 3, and look, this is a task which Hawthorn won't put past themselves. They're going to have belief, they're going to have confidence, they're going to have faith, they're going to have all that, and I actually think they're going to go out there and play alright. I think Port Adelaide was 2nd versus 16th. I think Port Adelaide win the game by 45. It's quite a big margin. I feel like both sides will have their chances and blow them. But yeah, I think this is going to be quite an even game in terms of numbers. I think it'll be an even game for most of it as well. I just feel like Port might have a little bit of a skip at some stage in the game, where it takes the game from maybe a 3-goal margin out to a 4 or 5 goal game. But yeah, I think Port Adelaide win the game by 45. In the end, it is back at the Adelaide Oval. We know they can beat quality sides there, and I think they should have no trouble beating Hawthorn. The Saturday twilight game at Optus Stadium is West Coast versus Collingwood, 18th versus 1st. Sorry. And as we know, 18th versus 1st is always probably one of the most unappealing games of the season. Even this one being at Optus Stadium really doesn't change anything at all. They were better last week versus Essendon. They showed a bit more effort. They showed a little bit more hunt. But in the end, sometimes better is not good enough. And look, for a club where they're at the moment, it was a step in the right direction. But they still got absolutely smashed by 50 points in the end. And I think Collingwood should have no problem going over to Optus Stadium and dismantling this side. We know they've got quality everywhere, and I just feel like with the way Collingwood run in waves, I just don't think West Coast can defend that. I think it is going to be a dismal afternoon in the office for West Coast, but we know how good Collingwood are. It's 18th versus 1st, as I said. West Coast coming off of a little bit of improvement. Collingwood getting a pretty nice win over North. I think they win the game by 73. I don't have too much more to say. I think that most of us do know that's quite an obvious tip. Saturday night at Marvel Stadium, the Channel 7 Saturday night game is the Western Bulldogs versus the Geelong Cats. This is a big game. This is a big game for season-defining. This is a season-defining game for both these two sides. They meet in probably another season-defining game around 24. But I think for the Western Bulldogs, their top 4 hopes will probably solely rely on this game. And the Cats' top 8 hopes will definitely rely on this game. The Cats aren't the best side at Marvel, as we do know. So I think this is going to be a really good game. It's 6th versus 10th. And I think the winner of this game is absolutely critical. I think it's huge, the winner of this game. And I've set the Western Bulldogs by 10. I think they'll be a little bit too good in this one. But look, I think this one is a 50-50 game. It could go either way. and you definitely can't ride the Cats off, but I do feel like they're going to give some players a little bit more time to return, obviously the bye for them next week. I think this week you do have to play it safe, and if that does mean potentially copying another loss, they might have to take it, just so then their players are refreshed, ready for a big crunch time clash in round 14 versus Port Adelaide. But I'll be interested to see how they do go managing their players. They might bring them back this week, but again, though, it does really solely depend on, is this a risk that is willing to be taken? And they can work that one out, because we know round 14 they play Port Adelaide, round 15 they play Melbourne. So they've got some really big games coming up. They might have to sacrifice just this one game for others. I'm not quite sure what they're going to do, but it'll be interesting to see how they go about it. But I think the Dogs will just be a little bit too strong here, back at their home venue, Marvel. I think they'll be a little bit too good. So the second Saturday night game is another really exciting contest. It is the second week the Suns are in Darwin. We know they have a 2-week stint up there every year. And it is Gold Coast versus Adelaide at TIO Stadium. And it is 12th versus 7th. Gold Coast in 12th, Adelaide in 7th. This is a big game. This is a season-defining game as well for these two clubs. I think Adelaide, if they're to make finals, they're going to have to win this game. They're going to have to win a couple of games interstate if they want to make finals. And their performances interstate this year have been not the greatest, in all honesty. But I think this game does loom as one of those games which is almost a must-win for both sides if they're to make finals this year. So, look, I have gone, this is a 50-50 game, so really any way is an upset. I think the Suns are the favourites. I'm not quite sure. Either side could be the favourites. But after last week, look, both sides played incredibly well. So both sides are coming off some good form. Both sides are going to be high on confidence. I just feel like with Adelaide's forward line, I think it'll get them up and about, and I think they're going to win a very good game of footy by 7 points. Now to Sunday's footy action. Just the two games, of course, due to bye round. And the first game is the best one of the day. GWS versus Richmond. And this is another really big game for these two clubs. Now, look, we know the deals that happened last year in the trade period, and I think that's what this game is probably going to be hyped up around. Tim Taranto and Jacob Hopper facing their former sides, and the Giants, what a win, to say the least. What a win versus the Cats last week. An undermanned effort and a brilliant, unexpected upset. It was a great performance by the Giants to celebrate Toby Green, a great of this football game and their football club. They couldn't have done any better than that. I thought it was amazing last week what they managed to do in Richmond. Look, they were not so great. They were better, but not there just yet, were Richmond. So this is a big game. I think the winner of this game, look, not finals hopes alive. Both these two sides, I think, won't make finals this year. But I think the winner of this game really does have a better chance of missing this bottom four, because I think it will probably might be Carlton, but if not Carlton, it'll definitely be the Giants or the Tigers, which will finish in that final bottom four spot, which is 15th. You really don't want to finish in there. But I think this is, big game. Giants, Tigers, at Giants Stadium is probably the only thing which separates them for me. I think the Giants win this game by 5. Final game of the round, Essendon versus North Melbourne at Marvel Stadium. This one is not as exciting, probably a bit more of a dead rubber than anything. North Melbourne, look, their efforts over the past few weeks, have probably gone a little bit under the radar. I think their efforts have been alright. But again, though, sometimes, like last week versus Collingwood, they only lost by 35, which the number on paper doesn't look too bad, but they were down by about 60 points at one stage and fought their way back to be there. But look, and that was Collingwood at Marvel as well, which Collingwood aren't the best side there, but look, I think Essendon win this game by 41, considering it's at their home venue, Marvel Stadium there for the Bombers. It's 8th versus 7. I think they win the game by 41 quite comfortably. But yeah, there we go. That's my tips for round 12. We'll go back over them. We've got Melbourne by 42, Port Adelaide by 45, Collingwood by 73, Western Bulldogs by 10, Adelaide by 7, GWS by 5, and Essendon by 41. Those are my tips this round. Buys, we will touch on those. Brisbane, Fremantle, St Kilda and Sydney have buys. And now we'll go to the ladder. and this is how the ladder shapes. Collingwood are on top, a game clear of Port Adelaide, who are a game clear of Brisbane, and then it's kind of this chasing pack, which includes Melbourne, St Kilda, and the Western Bulldogs. Then inside the 8, it's Adelaide and Essendon, just outside in the same amount of points as Fremantle. Then it's Geelong, Sydney, Gold Coast. Then it's Carlton, GWS, Richmond, Hawthorn, North, and West Coast. There we go. That is the ladder, and now we'll go to my predicted ladder after the round. Alright, make sure to go ahead and check out my tipping video if you want to go ahead and see all scores and stuff like that for this game. But with those margins, with those scores from tipping, this is how I think the ladder is going to look after round 12. So feel free to take a moment and just have a little look at how the ladder is. And obviously with buys, it'll probably shake up the ladder. But yeah, after like rounds 12, 13, 14, 15, your buy rounds back to round 16, every side plays in the same round from there on. Alright, now in terms of stats as well, Charlie Kerner currently leads the Collingwood medal, followed by Jeremy Cameron on 36, going to the full table, and then Charlie Cameron on 32. So Charlie Cameron is still in this Collingwood medal race, and at the moment, I do think with Cameron and Jeremy Cameron and Charlie Kerner having some off weeks, I think it does pave the way for a potential Jeremy Cameron. Charlie. I think it could pave the way for Charlie Cameron to get very close up there to the top and potentially be a small forward to win the Coleman. The work he does is amazing. Nick Dacos leading disposals by a fair way. James Sicily, we know he does that so well. The marks. Christian Petrarca is now the score involvement leader as well. And there he is, Tiger Tim, the most AFL fantasy this year to go up against his former side. Matt Rao has also laid the most tackles, 2 tackling machines, going head-to-head next weekend. Rao and Laird, or should I say this weekend, sorry. And then Cripps has the most contested possessions. Round 12 sure does look to be a big round of footy coming up. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. See you guys next another video on the channel. Thank you guys all so much. Bye everyone. Flame Footy out.